Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
This is Holy Week, a week when we all should invite God back into our lives. We'd all be better off. Here comes Kate Smith, and God Bless America, followed by a patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance. Come on, let's start the week off right. Good morning. And a good morning to you. I'm Zeb Bell, Zeb at the Ranch on this Monday morning, March 29th, and brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you with a big spring tire sale. Stop in and see them today. Along with our friends at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Right now, let's go to the phone line and have a patriot call and give us our national anthem, our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, my dear friend, the man up on the mountain. Appreciate it, Earl. God bless you, man. Hey, it's time for the weather real quick, and I can tell you what, right now, it's windy out there. Wow. K&R Rental brings you the weather. Roger and the crew at 256 South, 600 west of Hayburn, right there on the Burley-Paul Highway, unless the wind blew them someplace else. Holy moly, the best tools and equipment are right there to finish any kind of a job. And please get a hold of them today for both long and short-term rental. K&R Rental. Right now, here's Gina with the forecast.
Definitely windy for today, so keep your hat on. Here's a look at your weather. We are going to expect a little bit of sunshine for today with a high of about 43, but we are in a wind advisory. Gusts as high as 45-plus miles an hour, winds steady out of the west-northwest at about 30 miles an hour. Tonight, mostly clear skies, low of 24. That wind's going to be dying down just a little bit. Winds could gust as high as 31 miles an hour. Tomorrow, everything calming down, sunny skies, high of 47. That's look at your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
I'll take that. Thank you very much, Gina. Appreciate it. K&R Rental, Roger and the crew get there early in the morning, and they've got all the tools and equipment you need to get ready for spring. Oh, I'm telling you what, they're ready. Hey, you got questions? They've got the answers for you. Give them a jingle at 678-3122. K&R Rental, 256 South, 600 west of Hayburn on the Burley-Paul Highway. K&R Rental. Wow, I'm telling you that it is windy out there. I'll have that call in just a minute. Stand by, caller. Daryl's Cleaners at 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley is ready to tell you that they're open and ready to serve you with the best of dry cleaning that really helps prolong the life of your clothes. You're spending a lot of money on clothes today, and please take care of them. Take them to the best because they really care. Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. Kevin and Cindy and the crew, they really know what they're doing, and all your clothes will come back to you looking brand spanking new at Daryl's Cleaners. Don't forget, too, Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Hello, Ramsey's. They're there this morning. They blew in early this morning and opened the doors at 7:30 to 5 Monday through Friday. And believe me, they've got all your heating, cooling, and electrical needs. Please work with the people that know what they're doing and have served you for over 7 decades. These are good folks, providing warm winters and cool summers. Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley, 678-0459. Well, top of the morning to you. Good morning.
Well, good morning to you on this windy day.
Yes.
You know, Washington, D.C., which is where our capital is, but the Democrats want to make that a state. And do you know what it would cost for 2 more senators and then more representatives? I don't know how many that would constitute. There are quite a few of them, but it is nothing more than a power grab by the Democrats. They're the only ones that are going to get any benefit from this.
I don't see how a city qualifies to be a state. I don't see how we can let the Democrats get away with this. I don't see how we can stop it. That's what scares me. I'm really concerned as to this power mongering by the Democrats on every single item. The House Bill H.R. 1 to absolutely take over and destroy voting in this country. The Equality Act, which would allow transgender sick males to be on girls' teams. We are in so much trouble with a Democratic Party that is despicable.
And, you know, if you know the numbers, I heard it somewhere that Biden got 95% of the votes in Washington, D.C.
Well, I don't really care how many votes he got, Keith. I don't care. That's after the... To get, if he can get these 2 senators from Washington, D.C., then that really, you know, it's not a matter of like 1 senator, it's 2 senators. Yeah. What it's going to do... What it's going to do, Keith, and I didn't mean to jump in on you, but it's just going to be another wreck of adding, and you know, then as soon as they possibly entertain thoughts of having D.C. become a state, which is asininely dumb, you know as well as I do, they'll be aiming their sights on Puerto Rico to come in, and all of this for more Democratic power. That's all they want is power. There will never be another Republican administration or conservative administration in this United States.
I'm sorry to hear that, but I think it's going to be true.
God bless you. Keith, I always look forward to hearing from you. And again, tell Nancy those sugar cookies are good. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
You know, she does not share really well.
Well, I'm glad you didn't get them before me.
Well, she keeps them hidden. In fact, she put them in the freezer.
Okay.
So I wouldn't know where to find them.
Hey, I appreciate you, buddy. Thank you so much for your call. Have a great day. Thank you very much.
Enjoy your cookies.
I will, buddy. Hey, don't forget Dino Septic Service. You know, these people are all over southern Idaho. Raft River to Hazelton, the Coldwater area, all the way up to Albion, Twin Falls. Holy cow. They serve everybody, and they are good. How do I know? Well, they work for us. And fast, fair, friendly service, Dino Septic Service, with the best of septic tank pumping, backhoe services, water and sewer lines installed, septic inspections, all of this and more. Please write these numbers down, 436-6526, or in Burley, 678-1638. Twin Falls, good morning, 735-8281. The very best of serving you. Dino Septic Service, you get a hold of them today. By the way, calls are welcome and appreciated, and I want to mention that it's that time of the year again. And when I say it's that time of the year again, I'm talking about the Salmon Select Horse Sale, Salmon Select Horse and Mule Sale. And we're going to be having Fred Snook on later on this morning, as a matter of fact, and he's going to be talking about that great big sale. It's going to be the 48th annual. It is going to be on April 9th and 10th. The Mule Sale is going to be on Friday, April 9th. Horse sale starting at 2 p.m. in the afternoon, April 10th. And you know they've got a week-long activity of all kinds of fun things. It is Idaho's premier horse and mule sale. Fred Snook is the man that heads it up. Number to call for information, 208-756-2125. Don't forget the 48th annual Salmon Select Horse and Mule Sale, April 9th and 10th. All right, calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I went out of the house this morning at about 10 minutes to 4. And I am not kidding you at all. I almost took off. I would have looked like a fat, cowboyish Mary Poppins flying across the yard. Holy smokes! I really got hit with a gust of wind after I left the east side of the house. Whoa! Hit me and about bowled me over. That wind, what did Gina say? We're going to have gusts of 45, maybe even getting up close to 60 miles an hour today. Be careful out there, and if you've got stampede strings on your hat, use them, or you'll be chasing that son of a gun. All right, calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Absolutely no improvement on the border. It's actually worse day by day. I personally have talked to some people down there that are disgusted, disgruntled, and just really, really mad and frustrated. Their property is being absolutely destroyed. They're afraid to come out of their houses. There's been vandalism and robberies and life-threatening situations. And this is what the Biden administration is standing for. It's stupidity and arrogance of a bungling Biden administration. The border was functioning very well under President Trump, and now it's totally dysfunctional with this bungling Biden administration and what they're doing and not doing. And I'll stand toe-to-toe with anybody on this. No camera. I got to ask you folks this, and please call me and let me know. When there is news in this country, and our media is supposed to go and report it, whether it is a tornado and the destruction of a city, whether it is Antifa and Black Lives Matter and their absolutely horrendous and stupid charges on cities and destruction of property. The news media is supposed to be there and covering all this. Why? And let me ask you, why is the news media being suffocated by the Biden administration, by the Biden Gestapo? They're saying no cameras. We can't go in and see what's going on with the border. We can't go in and we can't have cameras and people tell us about the absolute thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people that are being headquartered there, and they don't know what to do with them. No press, no cameras, like a Gestapo. And Biden, last week in the press conference, I'm sure a lot of you picked up on this, Biden came out and said that, well, when Trump was in charge, he let the kids starve. That is a blatant, bald-faced lie. And if the two guys were standing there in the same room together, I would think, and you may not like this statement, but it's the way I feel, I would think that if somebody was accused of letting kids starve, which absolutely was not true, Trump should walk over to Trump and just bop him on the end of the nose. That is absolutely a lie. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, and they ripped children out of their parents' arms to separate them.
Oh, Doug, I'm so glad you called on this, and there's a little feedback there, Sean, please. The lies and the innuendos of this administration just absolutely have me trembling and gripping the arms of my lazy boy to the point where the fingerprints are indelibly cast in the leather.
Yes, and they accused all three of President Trump's press secretaries, the ones that do the news deals, of lying every day. But yet this Psaki gal never answers a question. She circles back more than a hurricane.
Well, Jen Psaki is a very pale, red-headed young woman that absolutely is way in over her head as a press secretary. She is not knowledgeable. She is not able to discern and dissect questions and give good answers, and she should be replaced immediately.
Well, I remember her under the Obama administration when she wasn't speaker for the Pentagon or something like that.
Yep.
Yeah, and was no good then. But one thing I've realized with Psaki, that first letter in her name, the P is silent.
Yeah.
And I think the P in the presidency is silent too.
What are we going to do? I mean, I sat there this last couple of days that I was off the air, and I watched with horror as to what's going on down on the border. Our senators and congressmen are down there. They're out in high-speed boats touring down the river. They found a floating dead body in the river, and they're told that they can't report with the news media what's going on. Senator Ted Cruz had a telephone camera that he wanted to film something, and a lady come up and got in his face. This is Gestapo tactics.
Well, this is the dictatorship that they kept screaming that President Trump was.
Yeah.
I mean, you take that press conference, if you want to call it that, it was a scripted question and answer session.
Yes.
I mean, when you get asked a question and you read verbatim your answer off your notes, I mean, even Ray Charles could see that was not a press conference.
And there were no questions. Again, Sean, there's a little feedback there, please. There were no questions, unless I missed it, please tell me if I'm wrong, on COVID and schools or anything. None of those questions. And, quite frankly, some of the reporters didn't even get called on.
I know it. I mean, the longest time in, 100 years, a president has addressed the nation or press, and nobody says anything about it.
Yeah.
We are in the middle of a Nazi takeover. I know it maybe not Nazi-like, but it is like what Hitler did in Germany. And that's exactly what they're trying to do here. And it is not a woke society.
Oh, I hate that word.
Fascist.
I hate those words, woke society. Let me just say that on this program, I will not acknowledge or give any credence to a woke society or a woke generation. They are no more woke or awakened on anything than anybody. As a matter of fact, they live in their warped little world of cancel culture, and you call that woke? I call it absolutely despicably dumb.
And it's not a cancel culture. It's a fascist culture.
That's right.
When you put someone down for what they think, what they've said, then it is fascism. It is not cancel.
Yeah, but fascism. Biden came out, Doug, this weekend, and when asked by I think it was CNN or MSNBC reporter, what about your plan for the border? Well, we have a plan, said Bungling Biden. We have a plan. Well, why wasn't there follow-up by these absolute sick, worthless media people and say, well, wait a minute, Mr. President, you say you have a plan, but where is it and what is it going to do? How is it going to be implemented? What's it going to change? Nobody is asking follow-ups.
Because the follow-ups weren't in the scripted questions, then.
I know.
This man could not go out and talk to the press and take questions from everybody and even give a coherent answer to a third of them.
But therein also lies another problem. he said, and he turned it over, which I think is just nothing more than saying, I'm washing my hands of the whole thing, and turned it over to Miss Jiggly Wiggly. You know who that is. Miss Giggly! Kamala Harris is going to take over the border now. Okay, fine. You're going to take over the border? When are you going to go to the border? Nobody is asking pertinent questions. Nobody is saying, well, when are you going to go down there and make a synopsis of what's going on and try to change it? The media in this country are a bunch of absolute losers.
Well, they are not the media. They are a propaganda arm of the Democrat Party.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's all they do every day is just spew what the Democrat wants them to spell out.
Totally agree. Doug, there's only one news media member, and I'm not trying to carry the flag for Fox News. Believe me, I'm just trying to report honesty. There's only one media reporter right now, and he's basically a rookie in his first year being on the beat, and that's that Peter Ducey. 6'7", 20, I think he's 24, 25 years old right now, that asks direct questions, and the Biden administration is afraid of him and won't even acknowledge him.
I know it. Yeah, and that's something. I mean, someone who's been in politics for, what, almost a half a decade?
Yeah.
He cannot take a question from an opposing reporter and answer it intelligently.
We're living in such a dangerous time right now to where this administration, this bungling Biden administration, with now wanting another $3 trillion infrastructure bill with all the added pork and all the amenities that are absolutely ridiculous. I just don't understand. And I said this in my blog. We all need to revolt and say, not only no, but you know what kind of no.
Exactly. And if these people that are back in Washington, D.C. were working for a company and they managed the money in the company that way, they would be fired.
Absolutely, they should be.
A long time ago. And
Yep.
It's time for the American people to take note and fire them.
I am so late. I'm so late, Doug, you got to wrap her up. I got to do a bunch of commercials.
Okay,
Thank you.
Well, I'll call you back because I got a little deal on Mr. Mike Simpson.
No, do it, please. I'd look forward to it. Thank you.
Well, okay.
All right, buddy. Thanks. Hey, I got to remind everybody, April Fool's Day is, I know, on April 1st this week. But guess what? It's for real. We're going to be at Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley for Zeb's Lunch Bunch. I think it's been almost a year since we've gathered with our friends. We're going to have great prizes. Mad Hatter prize. The wildest, weirdest hat is going to win a prize. The person that brings the most people is going to get a free lunch. There's going to be door prizes. April Fools at Denny's with Zeb's Lunch Bunch. Don't forget, stop on down, 11:30 this Thursday at 611 North Overland in Burley. It's Denny's Restaurant, America's Diner. Absolutely great. Also, Save on Shells with my good buddy Anthony. He was here the other day. Didn't get a chance to visit with him very long, though. Save on Shells, 1827 Overland Avenue in Burley. The number to call Anthony for the best in camper shells for your pickup, 312-1525. Don't forget, they've got the ARE camper shells, the very best in the industry, and he's got a huge selection, over 90 camper shells. Here a camper shell, there a camper shell. They're all over at Save on Shells, 1827 Overland in Burley. Call him, 312-1525. I am going to give away right now some cookies. Yes, I am. I'm going to give away some cookies before I get too late here. And the cookies are from Sophie's Chatterbox on the square in Rupert, 530 East Street to be exact. Great, great bakery and great, great restaurant. And if you win the cookies, call them and let them know when you'll be by to pick them up. Here is the question. We're going to go a little bit back in history right now this morning. What state was the first state in our United States? What state was the first state in our United States? First person to call with the right answer is going to get the cookies. Come on, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. What state was the first state in our United States. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Hurry, and you'll win the cookies. I've got a picture in my mind's eye. Everybody's scurrying and asking their kids before they go to school, give me your history book, quick! Here's a caller. Let's see what they've got to say. Good morning. You're on the air.
Was it Delaware?
Who is this?
This is Charlene.
Charlene, what's your last name?
Eklund.
Eklund. You are the winner of the cookies. It was Delaware. Now, let me ask you a question. You got to answer this honestly. Did you know that, or did you run quickly and look it up?
I knew that. You can talk to somebody who was listening when you asked the question, and I answered it before I picked up my phone.
You are a great lady, and enjoy your cookies. The only rule is, if you get plain sugar cookies with no frosting, you have to share them with me. Thank you very much.
Okay, no problem.
Hey, have a great day. Thank you so much. Our thanks go out to Sophie's Chatterbox, 530 East Street in Rupert. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Back at you, my friend.
Yes, sir.
Did you catch that town hall with our illustrious Mr. Simpson?
Oh, no. I mean, my weekend was so loaded up with thou shalt do this and thou shalt do that. Believe me, Mike Simpson was at the bottom of the poll.
Well, I caught some of it. And someone asked him a question about getting the commodities from Lewiston down to their Tri-Cities in the Port of Portland.
Yeah.
And he said, well, there's alternative means of getting him down, and that was his answer.
What were the alternatives?
That was, he didn't elaborate.
You know, why is it so hard? I'm going to jump in on you here. Why is it so hard to understand that without the river barge traffic, you are going to be exacerbating travel with transportation semis to the tune of 370 trucks versus one barge, and you're going to be putting all those trucks on the road. You're going to be burning all that fuel, which is astronomically going up in cost. You're going to absolutely cut back on all the prices due to the farmers, and Simpson didn't have alternative choices?
He did not mention one. They were talking about a train. Well, a train is 100 cars. Takes 7 engines to push a 100-car train. And a barge holds over a 100-car train.
Yeah.
So, and it's got 2 big diesel engines in that barge, and they're pushing 3 and 4 of them at a time. If you want to do something green, that's the way to do it. But he's failed to mention about the silt. I've asked him 5 weeks in a row for an answer. I said, I want a letter. I want an answer to these questions. How are you going to do it? And he has yet to send me one.
I get really tired, Doug, of people that call themselves politicians that are working for us. They come out with these outlandish statements, whether it's taking down the dams, or whether it's a gun control issue, whether it's border control issues, and these people have not had the decency to put their boots on the ground and study it from all perspectives and talk to the people that are going to be the most affected.
Exactly. He's not doing it, and I had a friend of mine, I was talking to him, I do have a friend, and I was talking to him the other day, and he says the reason Simpson's doing this, he's pandering to all of the liberals that are moving into the Boise area and those in the Sun Valley area.
Could be.
He doesn't care about the conservatives in this state.
Well, as you know, Mike will probably not ever contact me to discuss this on my radio program, and if it does happen and he wants some airtime, hey, Mike, I know you're in the area this morning. If you're listening, you know my number, 436-2244. You can call and get scheduled on my program anytime. I'm not even going to ask for the apology that you should have given me years ago, and you can talk about your idiocy on the dam removal.
Yes, and I looked up his website, Mike Simpson, if you want something that is baloney, and he's got Risch and Krapel listed in there like they're going along with the dam. And I called Risch and Krapel's office. I said, hey, are you guys with... And Risch's office said, no, he condemns it. I said, well, he's listed on Mike Simpson's site there about the dam.
Yeah. You know... when you look at like Mike Simpson and running away really and hiding from people that'll ask direct questions about his so-called dam removal, and then you look at Biden and you look at Harris running away and not putting their boots on the ground down at the border to really come up with concrete answers, all I'm seeing in today's politics are a bunch of great big loudmouths that absolutely aren't worth the paycheck that they receive. I do applaud the senators that went down there and really honestly risked their lives being on those boats on the river, the Rio Grande, and those that went to the various places to see and inspect what's going on. They were subjected to COVID. They were subjected to danger. They were subjected to sniper fire on the border. I give them a lot of credence, but when it comes to this administration, they get a zero for what they're doing to mismanage this chaos.
Yes, and there were several Democrat senators that were invited to go along.
Yeah.
And they did not go.
I just am at a loss. Miss Giggly Wiggly, Kamala Harris, she'll laugh everything off. This woman absolutely has no shame, and she has no talent, too, along with no shame. And she is just one heartbeat away, and I think it's going to happen this year, of taking over the presidency.
Yeah, I think you're right. And you know, you do your Bible verse every morning. I need to get going here, and I got a Bible verse right here. It says, "A double-minded man is unstable in all ways." James 1:8.
You know, it's funny that you should mention James, the book of James. That's part of my Bible verse this morning at going off the air. Seriously.
Yeah.
All right, buddy. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Hey, everybody. You know, our senior centers need our help. They're struggling. They built this country that we're reaping the benefits off of. They sacrificed. So let's sacrifice a little bit. Help our senior centers. Donate, volunteer, and go there and eat and leave with a full tummy and a full heart.
Nobody could say it better. Thank you, Doug. Appreciate you. God bless you. Hey, by the way, Doug, don't forget Thursday lunch bunch. Be there. Wear your long pants. He's gone. Okay. Hey, Barry Equipment and Rental, Sales, Service, and Parts, 159 West Highway 30 in Burley, 465 Addison Avenue West in Twin. Hello, Eli. And the Nampa location, they've got what an inventory, all the Bobcats. They've got all the trenchers, the scissor lifts. They've got all the Doosan wheel loaders and excavators, the big dudes for all the lifting, the digging, the pushing, and the carrying. Oh, my. And they've got rental rates and financing rates that are low, helping you get the equipment you need. Barry Equipment and Rental. Like I said, Burley, Twin Falls, and Nampa, you stop in and see Barry Equipment and Rental today. Really good folks with all the equipment. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Ted. Well, the hypocrisy is incredible. While these liberal Democrats put a fence around the Capitol building to protect themselves, they open up the border, and all of these criminals, rapists, disease-infested people are coming into this country, bust in here, and I just saw the Attorney General in Montana. They're planning to bring some of these illegal aliens into North Dakota and Montana, and I'm thinking, wait a minute, what about Idaho?
Yeah.
Will they be bringing them here?
Yeah.
We have refugee centers. I bet you they will be bringing some in here. We need to stop it.
Well, Adrian, let me interrupt you just for a second, and I know you're aware of this, so it's not new news, but I think, let's take a look at this. Missouri, Arkansas, Arizona, Kansas, Montana, Nebraska, Ohio, Oklahoma, South Carolina, Tennessee, and Utah have already, their AGs, their attorney generals, have sued the Biden administration. But hark, have you heard anything of Wasden?
I know, and we could use the Constitution is, very limited in what the federal government can do. They can't be forcing states to accept these criminals and people that maybe have drug-resistant tuberculosis and so forth.
Yep.
It's unbelievable. But Wasden has been a big disappointment. I know him personally. I've been on his case about nullification because we have the 10th Amendment. Anything that's left out, that amendment was the catch-all amendment. And if we forgot anything, this is the one that we should be using. And nullification has been used, but our Attorney General absolutely refuses to do that.
Yep.
But we need to be on his case to really be stopping any illegal aliens from coming into this country, into the state of Idaho, and because he needs to join with the other attorney generals to bar, because what will happen is the states, if we don't put up a fight, they're just going to load us up because we don't take a stand.
That's right.
Unbelievable.
Yep, I agree. I have nothing that I can disagree with you on. I am absolutely saying, and I've said this before on the program, and I think you will concur, that the best way to go to the Biden administration and kind of slap them in the face and let them know the general public is upset with them is to go through the state channels, through your state AGs, etc. We've got to let our voices be heard. We're being run over by this administration, and unless we take some real tough action within our states, we haven't got a voice.
Well, and it's all about control.
Yep.
They want control. They want... it's satanic what they're doing.
Yep.
I mean, they really are satanic because they want to destroy this country, make us a third world nation. What better way to do that than to bring all these diseases and criminals and drug lords into this country and ruin this country? And they're doing a good job of it. Breaching the dams is another thing, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
This is so ludicrous that Simpson would even come up with this unbelievable plan to do away with our power, way to transport our grain to the coast and everything else. It's just unbelievable. But I wonder how much money he's getting under the table to do that.
I don't know, but I'll tell you what, I'm going to keep hammering until I get more answers. I appreciate your call, Adrian, as always. Thank you. Stay out of the wind. God bless you. Have a wonderful day.
Have our politicians get the Constitution out and read that the federal government is limited, very limited in what they can do, and they're just running over us and we're letting it happen.
Amen.
And of course, they want to take our guns, and they're very unconstitutional. They violate the Second Amendment. Our First Amendment rights are still being violated because we still don't have a totally open state like South Dakota has always been.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Hey, don't forget, we didn't make it over this last week either because we were so doggone busy with different projects here, my lovely bride and I. But I'll guarantee you this week things are going to change and we're headed back over to Wick's Steak Place and Burnout Saloon. Oh, the food is phenomenal. And you know what? All your friends are there enjoying the food. Why shouldn't you be? You better stop over. 18 East Main Street in Declo. I mean, Wednesday through Saturday, 4 to closing time. And they specialize in everything, all the way from hamburgers to steaks, prime rib, lobster, chicken ribs. I'm drooling all over the microphone. You're going to love the food and the great service. What a great place to eat. Wick's Steak Place and Burnout Saloon, 18 East Main Street in Declo. We will see you there. Good food. We are going to go to the weather forecast in just a moment, and I think I can safely say that it's going to be windy all day. I wear hats all the time, and boy, I tell you what, I'm going to have them scrunched down over my ears when I go outside this noon. I'll tell you that for sure. I don't chase real well, so be careful. They're really, really windy conditions outside. What did they say? 45, maybe even 60 mile-an-hour winds at times. Woo! Woo, baby. You don't have to worry about sending something in the mail. Just put a letter in the air and let it blow. If it's headed east, they'll get it. Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Believe me, they have the best practices and technology for your hearing health. I urge you to make an appointment today and let them help you. Number 312-0957. And they're located right behind the Minidoka County Hospital across from the emergency room. And believe me, they are committed to your hearing health. Mount Harrison Audiology. Right now, let's find out about this weather. Here's Gina.
Definitely windy for today, so keep your hat on. Here's a look at your weather. We are going to expect a little bit of sunshine for today with a high of about 43, but we are in a wind advisory. Gusts as high as 45-plus miles an hour, winds steady out of the west-northwest at about 30 miles an hour. Tonight, mostly clear skies, low of 24. That wind's going to be dying down just a little bit. Winds could gust as high as 31 miles an hour. Tomorrow, everything calming down, sunny skies, high of 47. That's look at your weather for 7th Rand.
Thank you, Gina. I'll wait for tomorrow then. By golly, for your hearing health, you'd better get a hold of the folks that can really, really serve you. And that's Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Once again, they are committed to helping you. They help me, and I know they can help you. 312-0957. Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. You know, I got to ask you this, and I want somebody to chime in. Part of the infrastructure bill of $3 trillion, another $3 trillion, is where they want to provide a lot more tax money to the government, and they're going to start taxing all of us. There was a conversation I heard yesterday morning on the news before going to church in regards to, well, we'll impose on the American public a mileage tax. You want something that's going to put the gun to the head of the American economy, that will do it. It'll kill the economy and really hurt everyone. And I wonder how they're going to implement this. Now, I talked to a couple of people over the weekend that said, well, probably what they'll do is put little gizmos on your vehicle that will record the mileage you go to the doctor, or maybe you have to go to the hospital, or maybe you have to go to the grocery store. These leeches want to make sure that you are charged a mileage tax, along with absolutely high and higher prices for fuel and gasoline and diesel fuel. This whole thing just absolutely bids to all of us that we need to revolt against this. You know, somebody comes up to you and says, well, now, your name alphabetically, you report to Twin Falls, and they're going to install a little gizmo in your vehicle that tells how many miles to the government. Smash that son of a gun. Almost slipped. I think it's unconstitutional in the first place. And in the second place, I don't want anybody messing with my vehicle and putting some kind of a little gizmo in there that says, aha, you went this many miles today. We're going to get the money out of your pocket. What do you think about this? This isn't the America that I grew up in. Please, how do you think they might impose it? How are they going to know the mileage if they don't put these gizmos in your car or your pickup? Give me a call, 436-2244. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
It's me again, Margaret.
Aha.
Hey, they've already got a deal on your vehicle that they can track how many miles you drove. They can track how fast you were driving, how fast you accelerated, how fast you braked. It's called the ECM.
Okay.
They can plug into that, and they can pull all kinds of information on how many miles that vehicle has driven, at the speed it has driven, its average speed, its average fuel economy. It can't say where, as far as I know, but it can give them all that information.
Yeah, but wait a minute, Doug. Let's be more definitive here. And Sean, please, there's a little feedback if you would. How this is not on all vehicles. I would imagine on the older vehicles there's not anything like this. So what about them?
Well, the ones with the distributors and the coils and the carburetor without the injection, there's not an ECM on them. But anything after, I think around 1990, it's on there, on the semi-trucks of DOT.
So you're saying...
computer, and it can tell that DOT everything he needs to know, how that truck was driven, how many hours it was driven, and how many miles, and the speed, and everything.
Okay. So you're saying that the tracking, per se, is already available. All they have to do is start at a definitive point and date, and they can start charging the American public for going to the grocery store. Elderly people may be going to the doctor or dialysis, whatever the case might be. This is insidious.
Well, what they can do with it is say, okay, every time you license this thing, come on in. They plug in, and it'll tell them how many miles you have driven over a certain period of time. Boom, and that's what you'll get charged for.
And there's no way that a person can destroy the little gizmo or anything. I mean, I'm talking radicalism here. I don't want anybody knowing what I do. It's none of their business. As a free American citizen that has to travel every day in my business, I don't want to give the feds anything.
Well, I don't either. But it has already been installed. It's in every computer on every car.
So we've had it.
Well, they could not implement it like one day, say, okay, this is going to happen now.
Yeah.
They've been working towards this for quite a while. And then that way, then they can say, okay, we're going to start charging mileage on these vehicles. So then you go in and register, they plug a computer in, it tells them how many miles you drove in a 12-month period or whatever date they want to put in there.
Well, I know there's an insurance company that was running ads on TV that said, for safe driving, and you can plug this in, and they could justify maybe a lower rate on your insurance. And I thought, I would never buy insurance from that company because I don't want anybody tracking me or knowing what I'm doing.
Exactly. But it's been coming for quite a while. And like I say, it's been in the semis ever since they went computer. Now everything's an electronic log, and it's in that computer in that truck, and a DOT officer pushes in, and he tells them everything they need to know.
This is not the America that you and I grew up in, Doug.
No, and get ready for a COVID vaccine passport.
Yeah, no kidding. You're right. I got another call. Buddy, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Caller, quickly, you're on the air. Go ahead.
The way they're going to get this passed is through a fairness issue. They're going to bring it out, and they're going to say, well, there's all these electric vehicles now on the highways that don't use any gasoline, so we need to find some way to tax them, so we're going to do this first to them. What they're not going to tell you is eventually they're going to want to do it to the gas vehicles as well.
What are your thoughts on where we are as America? I mean, I'm 73 years old, and I don't care who knows it. I never thought within my lifetime we'd see a re-implementation and rewriting of the book 1984 by George Orwell, and it even is worse than what he had conjured up in that book.
I don't know what to tell you, Seb. They've been planning this for a long time. It's taken them a while to do it, and they're still not. They're not at the end game yet. They have a lot more they want to control us with, but it's going to take them a while yet to do it. As I said, the gasoline vehicles, they're going to lay off that for a while. They're going to say, well, they pay gasoline taxes, so this is just for the electrical vehicles, but they're going to see it as a source of revenue,
Yep.
And eventually also do the gasoline. As far as other issues that they're wanting to do, and you just mentioned the COVID passport, I think they'll take eventually and say, if you're retired and you don't get your vaccination shots, we're going to cut out a portion of your Social Security. That's how they're going to want to control it, especially those of us who've already retired.
I cannot argue with you because I think anything that is sinister or anything you can conjure up as to what they may do to the American public, this administration more so than any other administration is capable of it. I don't trust them. I don't like them. I know that a lot of people don't like the inference I made about smash the little gizmos, etc., but I am sick and tired of having Big Brother with his nose and his eyes over the fence like Kilroy is here. I'm sick of it.
Well, you won't see them make any sudden moves on some of these issues because they don't want the American public to revolt. They want to sneak these in gradually, as they did with the retirement age. Most people, especially the younger people, don't realize while you can retire at 62, you get reduced benefits. But full retirement age for me was going to be 66 years and 2 months. Now, when and where did you see that advertised to the American people?
Yeah, you're 100% right. I wish I could talk to you longer because there's some things I'd like to share with you and vice versa. I'm out of time. Call earlier tomorrow morning. Would you please? I really appreciate it. Thank you.
I can't do it tomorrow. I'll find some other day, though. Thanks.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you. Our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations are having right now a big spring tire sale. You can save a bunch of money on the safe driving tires you need right now. Get in there to any one of the 7 locations. I mean, all the tread designs, all the sizes for all vehicles, all your tires. With James and Buell, Dan on Poline and Twin Falls, Lane and Rupert, Mike and Jerome, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, the Twist family and Paul, and my buddy Trent on Overland in Burley, along with the best in brake service, front end alignment, shocks and struts and batteries. All of this and so much more, and the best in service, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Got to run to the news. I'll be back in 7. Don't go away. Hold on to your hat. I'm telling you, man, it is blowing out there. They're saying that some of the gusts and wind today will be at about 60 miles an hour. Holy cow, don't let little Johnny fly a kite unless it's tied to a Volkswagen, for heaven's sakes. Woo! My Zebeth Ranch, brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you with a great big spring tire sale going on right now, along with our friends also at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Right now, this good word for Western Waste.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're all at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal. Western Waste Services.
They are always at your disposal. I'll tell you what, I've talked to a lot of people that are cleaning up for spring cleaning and everything, and they need dumpsters, and they know that Western Waste Services has dumpsters in various sizes. Call, they'll bring one over, you fill it up, they'll come and get it. 734-6969, always at your disposal, Western Waste Services. Want to give a great big shout out, and this afternoon at 1 o'clock, I'll be back, just like Arnold Schwarzenegger. I'll be back at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. Yep, Nick Greenwell and all the top-notch physical therapists, Josh, the whole crew are always there to serve you and help you get back to being you. Whether you're recuperating from a surgery or from an accident, please get a hold of them today. 678-1191, 678-1191, Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. One final thought before we go to our guest. I want to remind everybody about Joel Heward and his family and staff over at Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert, serving families in a real time of need when there's the passing of a loved one. Always with the best possible support and comfort, and with the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity. Saturday. I urge you to call the number 436-5636. I'll repeat it, 436-5636. Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert. And Joel Heward also serving you and your family at Morrison Payne Funeral Home on East Main in Burley. Right now it's Monday, and I make no bones about it. I'm not bragging when I say this about this man. He is very knowledgeable, very forthright with his information. He is the president of Americans for Limited Government and a friend of this program. Good morning, Rick Manning. How are you?
I'm doing fine, Zeb. Lots of stuff going on. It's as usual, but yeah, it's a beautiful day here in D.C. So we're not having 60-mile-an-hour gusts like you are. We had ours yesterday when things felt like they were going to all blow down. So but there's good weather ahead. There always is.
All right. Listen, Rick, I really appreciate and respect the way I kind of throw things at you on Mondays, and you always come up with a good dissertation about the various topics. One of which I'm at the end of my rope, and I'm not going to pull any punches. I am sick and tired of the day-by-day grind of the news blaming white folks, Caucasians, for everything going on in this country. The woke generation coming up with headlines in the paper like, how should America discuss whiteness? And then some of these columnists with the Associated Press saying, if white people want the future to be different, they have to be willing to look at the past and the present and talk about it as if the nation depended upon it. What are your thoughts about this idiocy that's going on right now to have more of a racial divide and blame it all on us Caucasians?
Well, it's the essence of the left's philosophy of divide and conquer. America is no longer allowed to be America. We're not allowed to be Americans. We have to be hyphenated Americans, and by hyphenating us, it makes us different. Puts us in different strata. Gives us different strata, and so people who believe that they were in a lower strata then can hold a grudge against those who they believe were the people oppressing them and holding them down in that lower strata. So essentially what the left has done, what the Marxists have done, is they've effectively created something called critical race theory. And critical race theory is essentially racism. Only whites can be racist, A. And if not for whites, the world would be a wonderful place. And so whites owe reparation to every other race in America because being white is, in essence, but you're using your whiteness as your advantage to hold a cudgel over the rest of the country. It's an attack on all Western culture, and that and capitalism in particular, because for some reason capitalism is white people are benefit from markets. I'm not sure how, but apparently that's what they believe, and it is being taught in our schools, and it is being taught aggressively in our schools, and that's why we have just failed in defending Western civilization against this onslaught from people who want to make our history of greatness into something that we should be ashamed of. And ultimately, it's about devaluing the United States, making it so that American exceptionalism doesn't exist, and we don't have a right to exist as a country because America is the one country whose sovereignty stands in the way of a dominance of just having the UN or some entity like that dominate the world. Because the United States, up until 5 years ago, actually up until about last year, wouldn't stand for it. And but the real conversation we have to have, Zeb, is a conversation about about what critical race theory is, why it's dangerous for America and dangerous for the world, and why critical race theory is a threat to freedom. And oh, by the way, the last part of it is, did you know that math is racist?
Yeah.
Because it requires people to come up with the right answer, and that engineering is too rigorous. because engineering, you shouldn't be this rigorous because that rigor discriminates against people based on race. If you ever want to hear about racism, go to the left and say, are you saying that black people are incapable of doing rigorous academic activity and hence are being shut out of being engineers? Because that's what they say. That's their theory. And it is dangerous because I don't want to drive over a bridge designed by an engineer who didn't have a lot of rigor in figuring out what the tensile strengths of different metals are and how it all fits together. Because that bridge is collapsing. And that's what they're trying to do to America. They're trying to collapse our bridge by making it so we are at each other's throats as opposed to pulling oars together to make the country a better place.
Well, tell me this before we take a call. Caller, stand by. A year ago at this time, we were in the midst of the scare and the throw of the COVID virus. But let's go back maybe 6 months prior to COVID. I don't recall any racism, underline that word, if you will, like it is today. And I don't remember the hatred against whitey. I don't remember the woke society saying that we're all evil and we've got to come to the table and we've got to pay for our sins. All of this just happened in the not too distant past and seems to be really exacerbated by an administration, namely Biden and Harris, that want to promote it. Am I wrong?
Actually, I do think you're wrong. All you had to do is look at the vitriol thrown at Donald Trump for everything he tried to do.
True.
Where everything he tried to do, he's called a racist, he's called a fascist, he's called a Nazi, he's calling Hitler. He was called every vile name in the book because he was standing up for America and America's workers, and which was directly against the Marxists who were attempting to have this shift.
Right.
And so we saw that, but there was a meme that went around where you had Donald Trump standing there and saying, the reason they hate me is because I'm standing in the way of them getting to you. So, all that was thrown at Donald Trump, and people didn't take it personally because, that's just politics, and hyperbole. But the fact is, they weren't aiming at Donald Trump. They were aiming at the average American. They were aiming at every one of us. And now that Donald Trump is out of the way, they're able to set their sights on the rest of us because we no longer have somebody in a position of power can stand in their way.
Absolutely. I agree with you. Thank you. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Thanks, Deb. Rick, I really appreciate your insights on critical race theory. It's been something that we've been dealing with specifically here in our state. Our legislature recently took funding away from Boise State University, trying to kind of curtail some of these social programs which are trying to teach many of the tenets of critical race theory. As I've thought about it and how to deal with it, I've often wondered, would it be possible to define critical race theory as a religion, sort of as a method of trying to get it out of academia? And I'll leave that question for you. Thank you.
Go ahead. Good question, caller. Thank you. Rick, please.
I think Marxism is a religion,
yeah.
And I think critical race theory is based in Marxism. So you certainly could. Marxism requires a great deal of faith to believe that somehow, if you just give the government everything, contrary to every example in history, people are going to be more free. But that's the essence of Marxism. That's how the book ends, in terms of Marx's Das Kapital. So, so I think that it requires a great deal of faith, and as a result, you could, in fact, term Marxism as a religion, and critical race theory falls from that. Similarly, the green agenda, the Greenies clearly have much more faith in government to fix problems that may not even, most likely, don't even exist. But they worship at the altar of environmentalism, so that certainly is a religion. And by all definitions, So they don't go to church necessarily, but they don't. But you don't have to go to an organized place of worship to engage in religion or have a religious zeal towards something. So, I don't think that's far-fetched. If they were termed to be a religion, in a country which purports to have freedom of religion, they would be so restricted in what they could do that they would be almost annihilated, because they're completely dependent upon government to be there to carry the water for them, and that would take them out of the public schools, certainly. But listen, I'm not afraid of having this discussion. I think the critical race theory, they want to have a discussion. Let's have a discussion. Let's talk about it. Let's really have a discussion, not the garbage that they're trying to do, and where we're discussing things based on their hypotheses, their theories that then we have to argue against. Let's take them to task and force them to confront the reality of what they're trying to do. When you try to tell, and I come up with this thing about engineering because it really irritates me. Purdue University, about 3-4 years ago, ended up hiring a dean of their engineering department. Now, Purdue was the number 6 ranked engineering school in the nation. I haven't looked to see where they are now, but they hired a dean who believed that and stated, and they hired her, that the fact that that the education was so rigorous, it discriminated against blacks, gays, and women. Okay? Somehow, blacks, gays, and women couldn't engage in rigorous math and doing equations and figuring stuff out. Somehow that was beyond them, and so let's force them to defend the concept that they believe that things like math are racist, because everybody knows that's insane on its face. And the problem they have, and the way they explain it, is because it requires you to get the right answer, and it requires you to show your work. And if you have to show your work, and you have to get the right answer, somehow that's discriminatory. And let's have that discussion. Let's force them to deal with what they're trying to accomplish. They want to discuss things as if we don't live in a real world. Let's force them into the real world. Let's have a debate. Let's have a fight. Because if America votes that 2 + 2 can be 5 if the right person says it's 5, then America's done. America, that's where we've gone past the point of deserving to live as a country. And we've ceded our place in history, and the country can't be recovered. But I don't believe people will do that, because ultimately, everyone knows that 2 + 2 is 4. And you can pretend that it isn't. You can pretend that the new person at HHS is a woman, but that doesn't make that person a woman. And so we have to confront this pretend world that's being pushed through our colleges and bring it back to reality, and not be afraid to be called names in doing so. Because unless we reinstate reality, rather than this fantasy world that they're living in, that the left lives in, unless we reinstate reality, nothing else, none of the other stuff matters. So let's have a fight. Let's have a debate. Let's argue it. Let's talk about it. Let them defend why 2 + 2 can be 5, is not 4. It's racist to think it is. I want them to have to make that statement, because they will be rejected by everybody of all colors, because people know that if we can't agree that 2 + 2 = 4, we can't do anything from there on the scientific field. We can't do anything from there in any kind of discovery field. Let them say that African Americans, the blacks, aren't capable of doing math, that women aren't capable of doing math. Let them make that case.
Absolutely.
I, for one, will take my side and ram it down their throat. We will win. if we have an honest discussion. So let's force the discussion rather than just hoping they'll shut up and go away.
Absolutely. Rick, real quick, we've got another caller waiting, but I want to ask you this, and it may sound like a naive question, but who or what group, who are these people that are going to the schools, that are going to the school board and trying to infiltrate the curriculum with the critical race theory? Are they all paid for by a certain organization? I mean, who are these people?
That's a really hard question to answer. You would think it'd be easy to answer, but it's a really hard question to answer. Because over the course of many, 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 many years, the institutions of America have become so polluted with the Marxist thought that you no longer have a capacity to point a finger and hold somebody specifically accountable. We know that academia has ceased in many respects to have even a glimmer of anything that used to be called a liberal arts education. And so it's hard to say who. I can tell you that in today's world, when all those corporations gave money to Black Lives Matter, they're giving money to the very people pushing the critical race theory. Okay, that there was, and there's nothing more racist than the critical race theory, because it says, given equal resources, given equal opportunity, blacks and whites can't compete, and that's just not true. And it says the reason that that there's such a thing called systemic racism, that the system itself is set up to be racist against blacks, when in fact the system itself has elevated more blacks into positions into the middle class and into wealthy class than any other system in the history of the world, and has done so in countries around the world. And the more you embrace free enterprise, the more likely that is. Because here's the dirty little secret that they can't kind of overcome. In a free enterprise, in a cutthroat free enterprise system, I don't care if somebody comes through my door, and if they're purple, if they're blue, I don't care if they're green. I do not care. What I care about is, and let's say I'm looking at a fundraiser, can they raise money from our organization? That's the only thing I care about. If they can, I hire them. If they can't, then I fire them afterwards. But ultimately, that's the only thing I care about. If you're selling something, the only thing you care about is whether the person who you're hiring can sell this stuff. It's not a philosophical decision. The reason we see all this green stuff that every single manufacturer is pushing how green they are on their advertising is because of profit motive. Because young people are more likely to buy stuff from a company that they think is green than a company that they don't think is green. So every company tries to sell that. Has nothing to do with them necessarily agreeing with the green agenda. Has everything to do with them trying to convince a new group of consumers to purchase their product.
Absolutely.
So that's what free enterprise does. That's what capitalism does. It's a competition of ideas. It's a competition of who can sell a product, who can make you money. And it's the only standard by which people should be making judgments in this system, because it takes every bit of bias out of it. It shrinks every bit of bias out of it, because all that matters at the end of the day is production.
Absolutely.
And in that world, I can compete with somebody else, and we can compete equally. And they might say, well, Rick, you are too old and too white to do this job, to deliver this message, to go and fight on this. Even though you care about it a lot, we're going to fund. I'm going to give money to a different group because I think they have a better chance of delivering the message. And you know what? That's a decision. That's what free market does. Or somebody may say, you're the exact right group to do that, and they give me money to go and fight something I want to fight. But that's free market. That's a decision. It's based on capabilities, based on who you are, it's based on the whole panoply of things. And it's absolutely right that people should be able to make decisions based on who you are and everything else. Because ultimately, if it doesn't matter if you're trying to build a bridge, the color of the skin or the sexual orientation of the person who does the design. The person who builds a building, who cares what the architect looks like?
Mm-hmm.
All I care about is the architect's able to put something together that looks good and stays up.
Yep.
That's the standard. And ultimately, when you try to turn that into race, you end up destroying the essence of creativity, and you destroy the ability for not just the country, but for our culture to survive. And that's ultimately what they're trying to do. And that's why we have to beat them.
Absolutely. To the caller that called in, I am out of time. I apologize. I don't have time for your call. Please call back with Rick next Monday. I appreciate it. My dear friend, President of Americans for Limited Government, Rick Manning, great program this morning, sir. God bless you, and we'll see you next week. Thank you so much.
Thanks, man.
All righty, take care. I apologize to that caller, I really do, but look at the clock, I'm out of time. Want to remind everybody, too, about what's going on at Denny's Restaurant, America's Diner, this Thursday at 11:30. Lunch Bunch is back. Yes, we are. We're going to have great prizes. We're going to have a prize for the maddest hatter. I mean, the wildest, weirdest hat that you can wear, you're going to get a prize. The person that brings the most people, free lunch. We're going to have door prizes. April Fools! No, I'm not. I'm being honest with you. It's going to be on April Fools, April 1st, at Denny's Restaurant. We're going to have Zeb's Lunch Bunch, 611 North Overland in Burley. Don't miss it. We'll be there at 11:30, like I said, at America's Diner, Denny's Restaurant. Want to also give a great big shout out to our friends at Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Oh, these are good people. You know, they're really diligent and really caring. How do I know? Because they've helped us so many times. When you think about life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, and employee benefits, think about Cameron and Siemens Insurance. They are very dedicated, very devoted to serving you, and they're easy to find right on the curve going into Rupert on Highway 24. Can't miss them. Number to call, make an appointment, 436-4424. 436-4424. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. On Thursdays, yeah, that's what we're going to be Thursday. We're going to be with Lunch Bunch. Don't forget that. Mondays, I always look forward to having this next man on the air because he's going to give you an honest appraisal of what's going on in this country. And nobody knows more about the conflagration and the mess at our border caused by this bungling Biden administration and Miss Giggly Wiggly, Kamala Harris. This is despicable, and this man knows all about it, and he's going to tell us more. Good morning, Frosty Woolridge.
Well, good morning, Zeb, and boy, oh boy, each day this country just literally wades deeper and deeper into the deep end of a pool, and obviously the president has no idea on how to swim or keep his head above water, and that's being reflected across the country right now, and it's a tragedy on so many levels. I mean, you've got a man like George Floyd, who was a lifetime felon, a drug addict, women, he beat women, he threatened one lady with a .45 to her pregnant belly. This man forging checks. This man, local porno store. This guy was a carjacker, but at the age of 16, in and out of jail, 5 years a federal felon, and then all of a sudden, he finally ends up dead because of a fentanyl overdose. And it just so happens he was forging or passing forged $20 bills, and they had to three cops had to take him down because he was like 6'5" and 280 pounds or 60 pounds or whatever he was, and yet he's become a hero. That to me shows you the dilemma that we're facing. And then when you see what's going on the border right now, we've got, in fact, as a matter of fact, there's homeless shelters in San Diego right now that are closed to U.S. citizens and being open to all of these illegals. And for those of you who don't know this, your tax dollars are paying $86 million to house and feed and medically care for all of these people who've jumped the borders here in the last 2 months, which, again, as I said last time, in February of 2020, only 9,000 illegals jumped the borders. Last month, the U.S. Border Patrol noted that there were 104,000, and more than likely that will probably be the same or even greater number in March, depending on the final tabulation. So we're in a lot of trouble, and what is most people don't understand is this thing's not going to slow down because Biden has been inviting it, and her name is Psaki, I guess. A lady who speaks there in the White House and his mouthpiece. I mean, she's lost herself. Can't answer any of the questions. I think we're in a lot of trouble from the White House right on down, and I'm not too excited about the results of this whole thing.
Well, let me jump in here and say something in accordance with what you just mentioned. I have never been a fan of Chris Wallace. I have always thought he was a very liberal reporter with bents towards being in favor of liberalism more than anything conservative. But I have to give the man kudos over the weekend when he absolutely was visiting with Press Secretary Jen Psaki, and he said, quote, "You are being less transparent than the Trump administration." And it's really true. I have never in my lifetime, and I want you to elaborate on this, Frosty, heard of our United States media, supposedly a free media, with free voices and free collective thought, being stymied and stopped by a Gestapo administration that says you can't report and or have cameras on the border to show the American public the crisis and the disaster. I've never seen anything like this.
Well, I haven't either. As a matter of fact, I saw that interview with Psaki, the press secretary, and man, she's a stonewaller like you can't believe. But I also saw where Ted Cruz, the senator from Texas, tried to photograph all of these conditions, which were, I think about it this time, 10 times worse than they were under Trump. I mean, one building had a total capacity of somewhere around 80, and they've got literally 1,000, which was mentioned in the interview. And then you had this girl that is representing this current administration of Biden, and she's trying to block Ted Cruz, a senator, from filming what was going on. This is not America. When you squash the First Amendment and you literally prohibit a senator from taking pictures of a squalor and a squalid situation there on the border and pretend that it's not going on. I got to tell you, Joe Biden is out. He is out of his league. He has no idea of what he's created down on that border by telling them to come one and come all, and we won't deport you. And again, most folks certainly in Western countries do not have any idea of the misery and the poverty and the violence that's going on in all those other countries, and that it's not going to stop. It's going to get worse. And if we continue to take them all in, remember this, that shooter, the Muslim from Syria, his name is Ahmad Ali, that just killed 11 people. Guess who was the voter in the Senate who made that possible? When this kid came in when he was 3 from Syria. His name is Joe Biden. He's the one that opened up the door to let all these Muslims in this country. And I don't care who you are or what you're thinking, the Quran commands them to convert or kill all non-believers. And he even said after he lost a wrestling match at the age of 18, he quit the team and he screamed out, "I'm going to kill every one of you." That's a quote. So are we in trouble or are we in trouble? And it's coming from Biden, who is completely, again, out of his league, and suffering and way past the threshold of senility and dementia. And oh, what a mess we're in, and I don't know how we're going to get out of it.
Well, let's just back up and hit it on square one. Okay, I lay the blame at the feet of bungling Joe Biden, a man that should not be president. He's not mentally capable. So he, in the last couple of days, has decided to turn the border handling over to Miss Jiggly Wiggly that giggles and laughs her way through life, thinking everything is a great big joke, Kamala Harris as the vice president. She hasn't been on the border. Biden hasn't been on the border. Our senators like Cruz go down there. The media is stopped for reporting the story. What kind of a cover-up is this administration? It's absolutely shameful.
Well, it's also illegal. And again, as you see, Chuck Todd, who is not a reporter, who's not a journalist, he's an activist. He should be paid to literally do what he's doing, because he is doing everything he can to obfuscate, completely cloud the reality of our situation right now. But that's what's going on with the mainstream media. I remember distinctly, and I live here in Golden, Colorado. I'm 30 minutes away from Boulder, Colorado. I stopped and I've shopped. 2 weeks ago. I passed by the King Superstore, and what's going on here is completely. It's almost like the liberals from Polis and Hancock and the mayor of Boulder, Colorado. They were excited that it was a white supremacist that was shooting up 11 people in that King Supers, and then they were disappointed that it was actually a Syrian Muslim refugee. That's the kind of bias that's going on in this country. And, if it's not for the rest of us who are all Americans, and we are solid bedrock America, and we don't stand up and say something, then we're all becoming we have to have less whiteness, according to Coca-Cola. We're all a bunch of white supremacists instead of American citizens. It's amazing to me how the majority of this country has become the victim of all of this name-slinging that's going on in this country, and we're all becoming the fault of all these problems that were created by Washington, D.C., and mass immigration into our country, and not adhering to our laws, and not stopping the drugs at the border, and you name it, all the way down the line. If this continues with this next 4 years with Joe Biden, and of course when Kamala Harris takes over with the presidency, and I say she'll probably become president before the end of the summer. That's my bet. We're going to be in a mess that I'm not sure we can solve whatsoever.
I want to say something else about this border mess. I am sick and tired of worrying about the COVID-19 virus. I'm sick and tired of worrying about the variant strains. I'm sick and tired of listening to the bungling Biden say and look into the camera, well, maybe if you're good, boys and girls, maybe you can take your mask off after you've had your shots, and you can stand outside and have a barbecue on the 4th of July. Meanwhile, this idiotic administration is letting literally thousands of people exposed to the COVID virus cross our border, go anywhere in the United States without any reining in whatsoever. I am sick of this mess.
Well, I'm right along with you, and I think everyone listening to this broadcast, you're nodding your head right now. The duplicity of what Biden is doing to our country, and certainly Kamala Harris, who is not really of our country. She will be the second post-American president. And as the fact is, he's allowing the borders to be completely overrun, and any and all who are criminals, drug addicts, medically incompetent, certainly mules themselves bringing the drugs over and bringing the diseases over, and certainly COVID is coming over. That is an extraordinary breaking of Article 4, Section 4 of the U.S. Constitution. I mean, our own president is in violation of our own Constitution. And whether you want to say that he's past the threshold of senility or dementia, no matter what, he's the one calling the shots. And the shots he's calling is to infect all of us, not only with COVID-19, from there's no way he's checking all these people out, and also the drugs that are coming across those borders. We all get to be the victims, and in the end, we're gonna be paying millions, in fact, into the billions, for all of these little children from wherever they're coming from, and then we got to literally care for them in schooling and medical and educational care. I don't know what's going to come to the end of this, but it's not going to be good for we, the American people. That's a fact.
No, I agree with you. We have a caller waiting, and I'm short on time. Caller, go ahead, please. You're on the air.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention to you that the executive orders that Biden has signed, there's one that he would never be able to sign and get away with, and that is snow. No matter how you call it or anything, snow will always be white.
Okay, Frosty, respond to the caller, please.
Well, I think it's been white privilege for a white Christmas. Again, we're having our culture attacked. Ilhan Omar is coming at us, and she's a Somalian in the House of Representatives. Rashida Tlaib is also a Palestinian, and she is in the House of Representatives. Both of them are anti-America, anti-U.S. Constitution, pro-Sharia law. I mean, when you start seeing the kind of breakup that's being created in this country by immigrants that have no affinity to our country, and then degrade us because we sing a song called White Christmas. I mean, I've been listening to that since Bing Crosby, or way back when, and it's a part of our culture. And to be ashamed of being white or being called a perpetrator of all of this violence. What's really real is that 9.5 out of 10 attacks on black people are by black people, and Asian people. They're in their own little bungalow. Any kind of attacks on them are by their own people. To have all of this being set on white people or the Caucasian, group of people in this country who are the ones that created this country is beyond. It's just beyond any understanding whatsoever.
I do not understand why all American citizens, I don't care if they live in Utah, Idaho, I don't care if they live in Arkansas, Wisconsin, Florida, I don't care where they live. They should be absolutely outraged and waving their fists in the air when our fellow Americans living on the border, ranchers, farmers, that are having literally their lives threatened, their homes denigrated and destroyed, their outbuildings destroyed, their machinery destroyed, their fences cut down. There is no protection for the American citizens. These illegal aliens can go anywhere, and it's perpetrated by our government, namely the Biden administration. This is pathetic.
Well, it's also a loss of the rule of law, and it's a loss of personal accountability and personal responsibility. And the fact is, Joe Biden is a part of those 11 people who died there in the King Soopers just last week in Boulder, Colorado. But Joe Biden's also a part of Fort Hood. He's also a part of what happened in San Bernardino in California. There were 14 killed and 22 wounded because of that Muslim husband and wife team. And at some point, I can guarantee you this, and I've guaranteed it for the last 20 years on your program, we are in for a really nasty future the more we de-Americanize ourselves, and then the more we multiculturalize ourselves, and the more we diversify ourselves throughout history. And if you go over to Europe right now, or what's happening in Canada, Canada is no longer Canada. It's absolutely getting multiculturalized to death. And I've said it right now, and I'll say it again. China is taking over British Columbia, and that's a part of Canada. And I would say within the next 10 to 20 years at the most, the Chinese will completely dominate all of British Columbia, and they'll separate from Canada itself. But we, in the same amount of period of time, and I've said this again, I'll say it again, folks, we're about to import 35 million more people from out of our country into the United States by 2030. Do you think we're going to have a United States of America left? Are there going to be any Americans with the solid bedrock principles of the First Amendment, of the Second Amendment, of the Third Amendment, of the U.S. Constitution? You know, Isaac Asimov, the great science fiction writer, said democracy and this republic cannot withstand unlimited population growth. And yet that's what is happening under Biden. But it's not only just population growth, it's the multicultural population growth that's de-Americanizing our country. And once that happens, I don't care if you're in the middle of Boise, Idaho. I don't care if you're right there in Murtaugh. I don't care where you are. You can be up in Seattle. We're going to have so many un-American, non-American people like Ilhan Omar in our midst that there's no way to hold our country together in the middle.
That's right.
Because we're no longer going to be Americans. Am I making sense on
That's
this,
right.
Deb?
Absolutely. We have a caller, and please keep in mind, both Frosty and the caller, I'm down to the last 3 minutes of our program. Go, caller, you're on the air.
I'll make this really short. It's time for the civilian population of the United States for the rubber to hit the road. This just talking about it just hasn't been working for decades past, Zeb, Frosty. Thank you for your time.
I agree with the caller. Frosty, elaborate a little bit. We've all got to get involved in this mess before it's way too late.
Well, that's correct. We all have to get involved. And again, you have to run for office to displace somebody like Ilhan Omar. You've got to run for the Senate and or the House and the mayor of your own city and the city council to stop sanctuary cities. There's 540 sanctuary cities in this country that protect illegal aliens. You've got to stand up and speak out at the local level. You've got to get on the radio shows. You've got to stand up for America. You have got to stand up for your family. Because if you don't, there's no question. We are headed for some massive conflict, especially in our big cities, you know, and at some point it's going to trickle down into the smaller cities as the U.S. government forces all these immigrants into our smallest cities, and then changes the whole demographic, changes our culture, changes our allegiance to our country, and again, de-Americanizes us. We cannot allow that to happen. So we've got to get the rubber has got to hit the road, and that's how it's going to happen. You've got to get involved in local politics. Council, mayor, governor, House member, 2 senators. You got to get somebody that's going to stand up for America instead of standing up for illegal aliens and mass immigration into our country.
Absolutely. Okay, caller, I'm going to give you 30 seconds maximum. Go ahead. I'm out of time. Go fast.
I just have a really quick question. Is it true that some of these facilities that are housing the unaccompanied minors have less than 10 kids in them on the day of the election? I'll take that off the air.
Frosty, go ahead, please.
She would be correct. As a matter of fact, Trump had literally stopped the flow of illegals because they could come in and it would be kicked back into Mexico, and they were in tents and living in Mexico, which was outstanding because that right there stopped the flow of all of these children unaccompanied and the mules that were bringing them and the drug cartels that were commanding them. I mean, what Biden has done is literally reinvigorated the cartels, the drug mules, and every illegal act possible. I mean, it's unbelievable how incompetent Joe Biden is and has been for 47 years, and now he's got us by the throats for the next 4 years.
Yeah, and I want to jump in. I want to jump in on you.
We're completely empty compared to what they are now.
I want to just say this quickly and have you respond real fast, short. A comment made at the press conference last week by Biden saying, quote, that Trump was letting kids starve at the border. That is a blatant, bald-faced lie and should be addressed.
It is a bald-faced lie. Joe Biden has a lifetime of bald-faced lies, and they will come out sometime when the history is written on him. Maybe another David Halberstam, I hope, is the new writer who exposed Joe Biden. He's lived a life of lies and corruption, so much so that he doesn't know the truth from a lie if his life depended on it. That's a fact.
I really hate to end this conversation, Frosty. It goes so fast. But, my dear friend, I've got to run. Thank you, Frosty Woldridge, Golden, Colorado. Stay safe, my friend. Look forward to next week. Thank you.
God bless them.
Thank you. Dear friend, Frosty Woldridge, Golden, Colorado, tells it like it is. Time for the weather forecast, and we're going to tell it like it is with the weather, and it's brought to you by Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. The professionals in accounting services to the Mini-Cassia area and beyond for well over 50 years. I mean, the best of tax return preparation, tax planning, business consulting, bookkeeping services, retirement planning, the best, because they are the professionals serving you, your family, and your business, with offices in Burley and Rupert. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Definitely windy for today, so keep your hat on. Here's a look at your weather. We are going to expect a little bit of sunshine for today with a high of about 43, but we are in a wind advisory. Gusts as high as 45-plus miles an hour, winds steady out of the west-northwest at about 30 miles an hour. Tonight, mostly clear skies, low of 24. That wind's going to be dying down just a little bit. Winds could gust as high as 31 miles an hour. Tomorrow, everything calming down, sunny skies, high of 47. That's look at your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
I mean, it is blowing outside. Be careful. Hang on to your resistol. Weather forecast brought to you by the folks that really, really care. They are the professionals in accounting services that are working for you. And boy, they're busy right now with the best, like I said, of tax return preparation, tax planning. If you need help, you know where to go. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company, with offices at 1710 Overland Avenue in Burley and 625th Street in Rupert. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. Wow, busy half hour, busy day. And right now I also want to remind you, too, about electronics. Anything to do with electronics and all the devices and everything. Oh, where do you go? Who do you talk to get the information? I'll tell you. Patterson's Electronics at 421 East Main in Burley. Curtis and Lorena, I mean, I think they stay awake all night long reading all the manuals and reminding themselves they've got to memorize this, memorize that. They know all about all the home theater systems and all the surveillance cameras, all car stereos and speakers, complete sound systems, all about all the TVs. I mean, they are the electronics experts at 421 East Main in Burley. They're open Monday through Saturday 9 to 6. I urge you to stop in and see some wonderful people for your electronic needs. Patterson's Electronics, 421 East Main in Burley. Next hour at 10:06, we're going to have the cowboy and the man from Beantown. And that man from Beantown is Gary Goldman back in Boston, Massachusetts. Really like Gary. Does a great job. And then at 10:32 this morning, Dog Days. And then at 10:46, we're going to be visiting with Fred Snook up in Salmon, Idaho, about the great big Salmon Select Horse and Mule Sale. All that coming up on Zeb at the Ranch. Right now, we're going to send it back over to my buddy Sean. We'll be back in about 7 minutes. Oh, here we go with the high winds and, of course, Zeb at the Ranch. And I'm Zeb Bell with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations having a great big spring tire sale. Stop in and see them today. Along with our friends at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Right now, I also want to remind you about our friends over at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. Hello, Jeff and the rest of the staff. My goodness sakes, mattresses. They're having a great big sale on mattresses for a good night's sleep. All the window coverings, 40% off. All the floor coverings, all the carpet, the tile, the luxury vinyl plank, everything for the beautification and the comfortization of your home, including the best doggone selection of recliners you've ever seen. Stop in and see them them today. They're open Monday through Friday 9 to 5, Saturdays 10 to 4. Great staff at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and more at 459 Overland in Burley. You stop in right now. And speaking of right now, if you've ever wanted to learn how to play the guitar, I know a man that can help you because he is an expert. And what a teacher of all styles of guitar music, and that's Marcus Meek Guitar Lessons, 1459 Conant Avenue in Burley. The number to call, please call. I'll tell you what, if you wanted to learn the guitar, learn from the professional, Marcus Meek, 312-9093. Monday through Thursday, he gives lessons 2 to 6 p.m., and believe me, he's also available to play at banquets and dinners. This man knows the guitar. He knows music. Marcus Meek Guitar Lessons, 312-9093. There's a gentleman that's been on this program quite a few times, and every time I get a chance to have him on the show, I'm going to do my best to make sure his schedule meets with mine. He has written a book called My Big Mouth and the Ugly Truth, Taking the Stress Out of Opinions versus Fact. I've got the utmost respect for him, and I entitled this segment, The Cowboy Me, with the man from Beantown, him in Boston, Massachusetts, Gary Goldman. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Deb, I'm wonderful, and thank you for having me on this morning.
Gary, I'm going to say this, and I want you to take my words, and if you don't agree with me, chew me out. If you do agree with me, expand. I don't think America can stand 4 years of the Biden administration, period. How would you feel?
I totally agree with you. I've had that conversation several times in the last few days. I had it on the air on Saturday, and I've had it emailing back and forth with some listeners to the show. We're on the road to destruction, never mind the eve of destruction. They are trying to throw everything and anything they can at us without any thought as to what they're doing. And all we have to do, Zeb, is look at the border and see what's happening there. But it's not going to stop there. I mean, this progressive left agenda is on high speed. The accelerator's stuck, and they're going to do whatever they want to do at a cost to this country. And I'm not sure if we allow this to go through that we'll be able to, the country will never look the same. The facade of the country will not look the same. And I think that's what they want. They want to destroy this country for all the great values that it's had.
Gary, I don't know about your audience back on the East Coast. I would probably not be surprised that a lot of it is liberal. Here, my audience is very, very much against Biden and Miss Giggly Wiggly, the vice president that laughs and giggles her way out of everything. What are you getting for calls back on your program?
Well, very liberal state, Massachusetts, as you well know, and a lot of my callers seem, are more of the conservative side, but I do get my fair share of, those on the left. Look, if they're okay with anything that this guy does, the buyer's remorse is not set in completely here yet, Zeb. Though, in the back of their minds, and just by picking away at them in their conversations, I can see that there's some concern on their side. But look, if they buy into this philosophy, they buy into this mindset, even though if they would stop and think and stop listening to the mainstream media and think on their own, they would fully understand what the agenda is. Because the agenda, Zeb, is not going to protect them. They think for some reason if they support this guy, then what they're trying to push through will not hurt them. It's going to hurt them as much as it hurts any one of us. So, again, my callers are more to the right or conservative callers, but the ones to the left just keep drinking the Kool-Aid, and they continue to do it. That's been the case here in Massachusetts for as long as I can remember, and I've lived here my whole life.
Yeah, but Gary, why is there a naivete with the audience back there? Why can't they understand that 1.9 COVID bill, really only about 10 or so % of it was for COVID, the rest was all pork? And why can't they understand that another $3 trillion, what they call infrastructure bill, is nothing more than pork and frivolity that's not going to help the American public? Why can't they understand this?
Yeah, I look at, Zeb, I think what's concerning to me is we're at a point in this country where people have stopped thinking on their own, stopped doing their own research on their own. They believe everything that is said to them by the mainstream media, or, a great portion of it. They don't look into it. What they read on social media, they believe it. And the other part of this, years ago and when I was growing up, and my parents always taught me, you talk to everybody. You talk to people you agree with. You talk to people you don't agree with, and you learn something by that. They have, for lack of better terms, we're very much divided. But the fact is, a lot of people don't want to explore. They don't want to maybe hear the truth. They want to believe what they want to believe, and they don't want to hear what someone else has to say. I'm not sure if it's because of fear. I'm not sure if because then they may feel that they have to do a little research and figure out what is going on. But they've divided themselves to a point where it's unhealthy. It is okay to have a conversation with somebody that does not think the way you do, Zeb. That's how we learn things. We have dialogue, and we can agree to disagree. But that has come to an end in this country, and until we can get back on, get back on the road and start doing that once again, we're going to continue down the path we're on.
Let me ask you something, Gary. You've been involved in the media a long time, as have I. But have you ever seen a Gestapo-type closure of a media event? If there's a hurricane or a tornado in this country and a town or a community is destroyed, the media is right there to report it. If there's a shooting, the media is right there to report it. Why is the media not allowed to report on United States soil what's going on at the border?
Yeah, well, Zeb, until we the people get out there and scream louder and protest, non-violently, of course, we have to preface that, this is going to continue to go on. The Republicans have, and they're trying, but there's not enough. There's not enough Republicans out there, in our Senate and in the House, screaming and yelling as to what's going on. Again, they love to spar with the Democrats to make it look like they're doing something. Look at what's happening down there and not being allowed to see it, and the American people not being allowed to understand what's going on is shameful, because you know what's going to happen? Hundreds of thousands of these individuals are entering our country, and it's going to become a problem for every city and town in America, and then people will throw their hands up and say, how did this happen? Well, at some point, we've got to start holding the people accountable. Part of it's the media, and some of them are our elected officials. I refuse to call them leaders because very few of them are leaders.
Yeah.
But we've got to hold them accountable. And if they won't do it, then we've got to go to start on the local and state level and start making these changes. Because if we don't, we're going to sit here and whine about the issues. And I tell callers, even some of my great conservative callers, you can't whine. You have to get involved. Sitting here and calling me and whining, if you want to vent, that's fine. But we have to have a plan, and you have to get involved. We can say what we want about the Democrats, but they always have a plan. It might not be the plan that we like, but they always have a plan. I'm not sure the Republicans always have a plan in place.
I agree with what you said, but I want to go back to the border just a little bit more and ask you about your audience again. I have been on the border many times. I know people that live on the border. I know ranchers that are having their property destroyed. I know ranchers that can't leave the house in the morning without strapping on a gun for fear somebody's going to shoot them. They can't leave their wife and their kids in the house for fear that somebody's going to attack them. Their property is being absolutely desecrated. This is not protecting our American citizens. Do your people back on the East Coast, do they understand that these are American citizens that are under siege?
I have done, in the last 2 weeks, I brought a friend of mine, Sheriff Mark Lamb from Arizona on the air. He's been on several times. 2 weeks ago to make this point to the people in Massachusetts. And the sheriff did a great job explaining to them, you may think you're thousands of miles away, but these individuals are on Greyhounds heading to a town near you as we speak. And I had another local sheriff on this week who's very outspoken about the border and is warning the people of Massachusetts what's to come.
Yep.
Zeb, look I am as frustrated as I've been probably in my entire life because I don't get what people don't get about this. People, as you just said, people on the border are under siege. And these individuals aren't going to stay in Texas. They're not going to stay in California. They're going to move. We've seen it before. They disseminate all across this country. And that's why I've been having experts and people come on to tell them what's in store for them. And I get a lot of hate emails for doing this. I've called a lot of names for doing this. I won't stop doing this because everybody has to know what's in store for them. But the people in Massachusetts have this liberal heart. And that liberal heart, they're going to pay a price for it in due time, because forget about, the fact that these individuals are heading this way. We haven't recovered from COVID yet. But never mind physically, mentally, or financially. Bringing more people into this country, COVID, big issue. The Sheriff's Association says 50% of those entering the country test positive for COVID. And financially, we're going to have to support these people. We can't support the individuals that put their life and soul into this country, who small business owners, working people. We can't support them, but we're willing to bring more people in. We have safety nets that are needed across this country for people that are sleeping in their cars, veterans that are sleeping out on the streets, and we have illegal immigrants sleeping in five-star hotels. Something wrong, Zeb, something very wrong. But again, the people are the ones that have to change this.
But we have to have some avenue of power. Right now, with the House and the Senate and the Oval Office all controlled by this bungling Biden administration, I honestly believe we should have every state attorney general suing the Biden administration for what's taking place in their states. I don't care if it's Boise, Idaho. I don't care if it's Boston. We all are going to be suffering with this chaos on the border.
Oh, I agree. And look, at some attorney generals are talking about that. Some have reacted, but most of them, Zeb, are just not going to do it. They're not going to do it. Look, I think what we're going to see happen, and this is just my gut feeling. When you look at law enforcement, and I love law enforcement across this country, but a lot of law enforcement, their hands are held tied by mayors, town managers, select people. We could go through the whole list. It's going to take the sheriffs of this country, who are elected by the people, to start initiating the change that you and I may be looking for, to start rounding people up that shouldn't be here, especially those that are in this country that have committed crimes. Because if we let this continue the way it is, Zeb, Venezuela is going to look like a sweeter situation than the United States in a very short period of time. And people that say to me, I'm overreacting and that can't happen, I'll take that challenge and debate them on that anytime, because it can happen. I think we're on the path to that. And as you just eloquently said, with the one-side control of the United States government, it's a very, very bad position for us to be in. It's one side. It's one situation if it's one-party rule, but it's one-party rule that's fundamentally changing this country as we speak right now.
Yeah. I want to shift gears just a little bit and talk about another great big debt. $3 trillion bill on infrastructure, which I absolutely think is lunacy. Let me just throw this at you. I'm sure that in downtown Boston and around the surrounding area, you have car after car, bumper to bumper in traffic. And they want to have an infrastructure program that's going to make all the roads and bridges safer. But with the escalating high fuel and diesel prices that are going on in this country, there soon will be far less driving and people able to pay for this idiocy. What are your thoughts about this bill, another $3 trillion, which much of the so-called infrastructure money is all for Democratic pork for other issues?
Well, I'm all for keeping highways maintained. I think, we need to do that. But here's the problem. We have to, if you break down that bill and you see where the money is going, and you just hit the nail on the head once again. It's pet projects. It's not really going to do what the American people think would be done for that type of money when they hear infrastructure. Oh, they're going to fix all my roads and bridges. That's not necessarily the case. Zeb, look at in this part of the country, the roads and bridges are in pretty tough shape, and I see them falling apart. On a regular basis, they're going downhill. Do we need money on it? Yes, but this is not the time to just be throwing money out there without a plan, and to make sure it's not all going to Chuck Schumer's bridge into Canada, Pelosi's tunnel in California, whatever she wants to do, and many other projects like that. We can't keep spending the money that we're spending. Somebody is going to have to pay for this sooner or later. We keep saying we're going to throw it on our grandkids, our great-grandkids. I'm not sure we're going to last that long if we keep spending this. Biden wants even more money for quote-unquote COVID. more money for COVID. So which country are you going to give it to this time, Joe Biden? And where are you going to send that money? As you said, very small amount of the COVID bill stayed in this country and helped the people of America, or the ones that needed it. A lot were just, again, pork-type projects. So I think the infrastructure bill has to really be looked at. It has to be looked at in a means of what is important, what really needs to be done, and get the pork out of it. But when you're not in control, when you don't have the control in Washington that we should, that's going to be a difficult task for those on the right in the House and Senate.
But I go back to the original concept, and we have a caller. We'll take that momentarily. The original concept of we the people. We the people don't have a voice right now. It's slam dunk time with the Democrats taking the ball and just doing whatever they want with it, and that's what scares me. This country is being slam dunked into oblivion.
And I agree. Our representation in Washington is not there, but 75, 80 million people voted for this president. There's a lot they can do on state and local level to start getting the ball rolling, and they have to be out there and be heard. And they have to force those that they put into office to listen to them. And if they don't, we have to find people that are going to listen to us, because otherwise, I think we're in trouble. I'm very concerned just getting to 2022, never 2024. I'm concerned the next 2 years, because at the rate that they're pushing things down our throats, it's 2022 may be too late.
Absolutely. Caller, good morning. You're on the air with Gary Goldman and Zeb. Go ahead, please.
Well, Friday I called because of H.R. 1. You said to get in hold of our elected officials. I've been calling my elected officials for 20 years, and I don't know how many it takes, but they never listen to me. And so I'm going to go to the Lincoln Day banquet and confront them publicly here in Idaho, Capo, Risch, Simpson, because I'm sick of it. But on Friday I called, the senator from West Virginia, Joe Manchin, and Christian Sinema, because of H.R. 1 and what they want to do with the bill to, take over the elections. And neither one of them answered. I left a message, but I can't imagine that they would, seeing my phone number, that they would actually care. And so, with Biden and this bill where he took 9% of it went to COVID and 90% of it bailed out states like California, New York, and Massachusetts because of ill-ran management by your governors and your state legislatures, you know what? That's unfair to people in Idaho who have a balanced budget and have money surplus in their coffers. It's BS. But at this point, he keeps printing money. The dollar won't be worth a dime. It isn't going to be worth anything. So what do we do?
All right.
Do we invest in silver? What do we do to counteract the fact that they're destroying the American dollar? I know I said a lot. Thank you.
Respond to the caller, please, Gary. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, the bailing out of the poor states, unacceptable, but we knew this was going to happen. We knew this was going to be part of Biden's plan. I'd say still call your state senator or your congressperson, your senator. Keep that up. But people, Zeb, there's no doubt in my mind, peacefully, of course, we're going to see more and more people tend to the streets of this country.
I agree.
People aren't going to be able to take it anymore based on, look at the way fuel's jumping up. Everything's increasing at an increasing rate. Plus, they're throwing all of this stuff on us in the middle of this quote-unquote COVID situation. So I think you look at we've got to find people to run for office on a national level and your state level that keep their promises. And if they do not keep their promises, there's got to be a way to either force them out of office or make sure the next time around they're not reelected. Again, we have a serious problem on our hands. We have one-party rule for at least the next 2 years, and we have to keep the pressure on those in office to make what we don't like the things that we don't like being done, we have to keep the pressure on them.
Do I hear restrictions? And limitations on time in office? I like your thoughts if that's what you're alluding to.
That is exactly what I'm alluding to. Look at how long many of these people have been in office. The only thing they want to do once they get in office and continue to stay in office is line their pockets. I don't care whom they are.
That's right.
That is the reality of the situation. You need fresh minds in government. We have people that have been in office way too long. We've got to get fresh minds. We have to rotate these people, and that has to be. Term limits has to be something that we push for, and we have to push hard for it. I'm talking in local, state, and on the federal level, because if I was to do a census of those in office in Washington right now, it's very concerning when you see how long they have been in there and what their real motivation is. The motivation is themselves and their families. I forgot who wrote the book, but there was an incredible book written called Capitalism, and it talks about from the time they're elected in Washington, that first thing they do is start protecting themselves to stay there. Not what they promised you and I they were going to do, but what they were going to do to stay there. And that's where we are today, and we've allowed this to happen. Political correctness, not speaking up. We've allowed this to happen over the years. And now every time we speak up about it, they call us names. You're a racist, you're this, you're that. And that's not going to stop you, Zeb, and I know it's not going to stop me, because that's just their modus of operandi to quiet us down. But we've got to keep the pressure on them. I know it's frustrating right now. You and I sit in the same seat on a daily basis, but we know what we have to do, and we have to keep the word out there.
God bless you, man. The author of the book called My Big Mouth and the Ugly Truth, and he's a national political analyst that I absolutely respect. Gary Goldman, the very best to you, and God bless. Thank you, Gary.
God bless you, Zeb, and thank you for having me on.
Thank you so much. Good guy. Really good guy back in Boston, Massachusetts. Thank you, Gary Goldman. I want to remind you, too, about Anthony at Save on Shelves. You need a camper shell for your pickup to protect all your fishing equipment and all your tools and everything else. Well, stop over to Save on Shelves at 1827 Overland in Burley. Number to call, Anthony, 312-1525. He's got over 90, yeah, that's right, 90 camper shells in stock. And if he doesn't have just one of those great camper shells that'll match your pickup, you can order one. Absolutely. He's got the great ARE camper shells, the best in the industry. Anthony and Save on Shells, 1827 Overland in Burley. Number to call, 312-1525. Right now, we're going to send this back to our main studio with Sean. We'll be back in about 3 minutes.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb.
Oh, thank you very much. And right now, it is time for a segment that a lot of people enjoy listening to this lady, because she really is out there trying to help the dogs in our world and our canine friends. Hello, Deb Hines with Minidoka Animal Control. How are you?
I'm good, Zeb. I didn't even blow away today yet.
I just made the statement earlier this morning that keep your eye to the sky for a fat cowboy-type Mary Poppins. I'm going outside later on. I might fly over.
I'll watch for you.
Okay. Deb, I want to get into something. I should have asked you about this a long time ago with your expertise on what's happening with our canine friends. But when you see the ads on TV to donate to this and donate to that, I've always had the feeling in my mind's eye that donations would be a lot better served to the local animal shelters instead of sending to the national. What are your thoughts?
Well, I watch those same ads, and the first thing that goes through my mind is there's not a rescue in the country, no matter how big or how small, that isn't going through the same thing. Little people need the donations, not the big people. For some reason, they can always get their hands on federal funds. We can't.
Mm-hmm. And tell everybody about the donations. I mean, you're doing a service to the community and also to the canine friends, the puppies and the bigger dogs, etc. And I can hear one that you're holding right now, as a matter of fact. What does it take to run a shelter like what you're doing? It takes a lot of commitment and money.
Yeah, it does, Zeb. Because I've got to hire people to come in here and clean the dog kennels and help me. One of my guys also helps me do on-call stuff, so we go out and collect dogs. But, it takes money to keep them healthy. I am so thankful to Wagon Tails Rescue, as you know, my sponsors, that we are getting the spay and neuters covered, which is the other reason we're doing our little Fido Fest next month, is to help with that. Not only are we getting our spay and neuters done for the shelter dogs, but she is doing an outreach to the whole entire community, Kasia and Minidoka, and sometimes Twin Falls and Jerome. I'm not kidding. We're getting calls from everywhere, and she's not telling anybody no.
Well, they're
a big step. First, number one, no matter where you live, get your dogs fixed.
Absolutely.
It cuts down on the puppies. It cuts down on the issues with your dogs. And, we can kind of get this under control and start saving a little money.
What is the worst time?
I don't know exactly what it takes to run this place a month, but I know it's not inexpensive.
Right.
And I'm not a big facility.
Well, Deb, let me ask you this. When you look at a year of service to the community, what are your big worrisome months where it seems like your problem with stray dogs and puppies left in the drop box? What are the worst months to have this problem?
Puppy season usually. Right after Christmas, when people get puppies for Christmas and then decide that it's not something they want, and we get them, we get them in here. It's like, it's a horse race. Because we can't get the puppies fixed till they're 6 months old.
Right.
So we've got all these pups, and I'm looking at all these dollars that I need to spend to get them spay or neutered, and the vaccinations, because when I get dogs dropped, I don't know. Have they ever had a shot in their life?
Right.
So especially a pup, I'm going to vaccinate that pup, and then I'm going to sit on that dog for almost 20 days because I need to make sure I haven't given that dog the parvovirus.
Right. Right. Now, explain.
Being there an extra 20 days that I don't need.
Yeah. Now, explain on a daily basis what one dog would cost at the shelter, and then if you exacerbate that problem by having 20 or 30, holy smokes, that's a lot of money.
Well, the vet care vaccinations, average our vaccines that we give here cost approximately $20, and that's for everything but their rabies, and that includes their wormer. Then I've got my people out there cleaning. They average about 4.5 hours a day out there cleaning. So, you got to figure out maybe half hour per kennel. Then the feeding, I've got to feed them food. So honest and truly, I would guess a day, if you average this out, we would spend about $30 a day for dogs or so.
Wow.
Somewhere in there.
Uh-huh.
And when I've got, we've got 20 in here now, so if I'm into this a healthy amount of money today.
Yes, you are. Deb, if people want to make a donation, if they sit there and they go, my goodness, she and Minidoka Animal Control are doing a wonderful job trying to take care of our dog friends, what would they do? How do they go about getting a donation to you? What's the best way to get the money?
Honestly, right now, I would suggest that they send that donation to Wagon Tails Rescue, because then we can apply it to our spay and neuter fund.
Okay.
And that address is 1015 I Street in Rupert, 83350. And if they want to donate towels, old blankets, dog food, anything like that, they can bring that here to me, and I will put it in our donation room.
Okay. Now, I got to ask you, I hear some little voice saying something in the background. What kind of a puppy do we have there?
Well, I've got chihuahuas. They are so cute. I've got the mom and her babies. We found them a while back in a snowdrift.
Oh.
And of the 5 babies that she had, I've got 4 of them adopted. So I've got one little guy left and mama dog.
Okay.
And I've vaccinated the little people, so they're ready to go to their real owners now because they're driving me nuts.
Okay, so you've got a female, the mother, and one of the children left, right?
Yep, one of the kids.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what else are we going to feature quickly this morning?
Oh, I've got one you'd like. His name is Buddy,
Okay.
and to my knowledge, he is a Corgi, Border Collie, and Terrier cross.
Oh, my.
And I'm not sure what else. He's got huge paws, so this is what I've advertised him as. I have the first ever miniature Idaho Fuzzy.
Okay. All right. And what's his name?
I'm not kidding. This is a cute pup.
Okay, now, Buddy, now how old is he?
He's a year old.
A year old. Okay.
Yeah.
And is
And
he...
he loves to run and play with the other dogs. He's a little shy around people. I don't think he's had much interaction with people, but we try to bring him in here on a daily basis just to let him be around us and so we can play with him and pet him and stuff.
What kind of a family situation would he be best suited for, Deb?
Honestly, I think he would fit great into a home, possibly with kids, because he's young enough he's going to want to play, but he's smart, so, I think he can do just about anything.
Okay. So right now we've got a Chihuahua mom and one of her pups left, and we've got Buddy, Corgi Cross. Anything else you want to mention quickly on this morning's program?
I've got a dog named Bruno. He is 7 months old. He's a boxer cross. He's good with cats. He does sit. He's crate trained. He's leash trained. He's house trained. He loves kids. He's a super, super dog. And he is absolute doll.
Okay. Now, quickly, give us the telephone number and the location as to where people can call and then come over and see the dogs.
Okay, they can call 208-438-2200. We are located at 50 West 200 South Rupert. We're here till 1 o'clock Monday through Friday and noon on Saturdays. However, if someone wants to look at something and they're going to be a few minutes late, we do stay.
All right. Real quick, I want you to emphasize an event that's coming up. Tell us where, when, and how much.
It's the Fido Fest, and as I said earlier, it's to help us raise spay and neuter and additional funds for our dogs here. It's run by Wagon Tails Rescue. It will be at the Burley Inn the 22nd of April. Bring your appetite because it's all food driven, and it's from 6 to 8.
Okay. And what's
I'm hoping to see you there.
what's the admission fee, by the way?
It's $10 per person or $20 a family, and we do have places for little kids to do special things.
Okay.
We want this to include the whole family. I don't want it to just be mom and dad.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, for more information, can they call you at your office or your cell phone?
Yes, they may.
Okay. And those numbers?
208-438-2200 or 670, I can't remember the number.
7268?
Oh, 5716.
Okay.
705716.
Deb, I appreciate everything you're doing over there. If you get a chance, call me later on this afternoon on my cell phone. I need to visit with you. And God bless you for everything you do, along with the Wagon Tails Rescue, Minidoka Animal Control. Thanks, Deb Hines. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Zeb. I appreciate you, too. Have a good one.
All right. Thank you much.
Bye-bye.
Nice lady right there, Deb Hines with Minidoka Animal Control. Thank you very, very much. Right now it's time for the weather. And I can tell you what the weather is, doggone windy. Woo! I'm telling you. Scarrows Meats brings us the weather right now at 331 North Road, Jerome. The telephone number to call, 324-7657. Or you can go to their website, scarrowsmeats.com. Oh, my goodness, all the delicious meats, all the different flavored bacons, and, of course, all the marinated pork ribs and the tri-tips and, of course, the brats and the sausages. The list goes on and on. Absolutely delicious meats from Scarrows Meats over in Jerome. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Definitely windy for today, so keep your hat on. Here's a look at your weather. We are going to expect a little bit of sunshine for today with a high of about 43, but we are in a wind advisory. Gusts as high as 45-plus miles an hour, winds steady out of the west-northwest at about 30 miles an hour. Tonight, mostly clear skies, low of 24. That wind's going to be dying down just a little bit. Winds could gust as high as 31 miles an hour. Tomorrow, everything calming down, sunny skies, high of 47. That's look at your weather for Deb at the Ranch.
I appreciate it, Gina. Thank you, and brought to everybody by Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. That telephone number again, 324-7657. At Scarrows Meats, they are changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. You know, folks, my next guest on this program has been involved in quite a project for many, many years up in Salmon, Idaho, and he's going to come on and talk about the 48th Annual Salmon Select Horse and Mule Sale, which is going to be at the Lemhi County Fairgrounds Friday, April 9th for the Mule Sale, and the Horse Sale on Saturday, April 10th. But there's a whole bunch of things happening all that week up in Salmon. Good morning to Fred Snook. How are you, my dear friend?
Well, good, Zeb. Glad we're able to talk this year. We got bumped off last year, but we're back in business and ready to go. It'll all start on Tuesday, April 6th, with Ty Evans will have his nationally known mule clinic. So that's there at the fairgrounds, main arena, all day Tuesday, and then back all day Wednesday. The clinic itself is sold out, but spectators can watch for $25 a day. You're welcome to do that. Then the Wolf Howling Championships, Idaho State Wolf Howling Championships, that is Wednesday this year. That starts at 5 o'clock. The IOGA has a big dinner, dance, auction, and then the state wolf howling. And Thursday, we're filling up Thursday with events. The Backcountry Horsemen will have a free clinic for horse and mule owners, packing, etc. That's from 1 to 3. Then the mounted shooting competitions in the 4-H arena from 3 to 5 on Thursday. Then there's a welcome reception there in the sale building at 5 o'clock. Then Friday, the getting ready for the big mule sale with the Best of the Pen Mule Challenge at 10, the ranch horse competition at 11, the mule trail competition 12:30, and then at 3 o'clock, one of the big events, the Jeff Allen Memorial $2,500 mule race. People will really flock in to watch that. Then at 5, an hour early this year, is the 22nd annual mule sale. 60 mules from all across the country: Kentucky, Arkansas, California, Oregon, Wyoming, Washington. It's a select sale, and 60 head. You can see them online at salmonselectsale.com. Then Saturday, of course, open performance at 9 of the sale horses, 10 the trail competition, 11 the rope horse competition, and at 2 o'clock, the 48th Annual Salmon Select Horse Sale. 80 head this year, 80 head, and a lot of videos and pictures of those are also at that website, salmonselectsale.com.
Fred, let me ask you the popularity of your event. This is the 48th annual Salmon Select Horse and Mule Sale. What about last year with the COVID? It was a mess. Everybody got hurt with the COVID and destroyed a lot of great events. What about this year? Is the enthusiasm back to get started again?
Oh, yes. Yeah, absolutely. No, last year we ate $12,600 worth of cattle, plus a lot of other expense. But, no, everyone is really on board and all good to go this year. And then we've spread out. I forgot on Sunday, our barrels got moved from Friday to Sunday. Mm-hmm. So we've actually expanded to make it a 6-day event to try to spread things out a little bit more. So, but no, everybody's on board, and we're expecting a great turnout. We have online bidding, we have phone bidding, or obviously bid in person.
Okay, what makes this sale so unique? I mean, why? 48 years, that's really a milestone. What makes your sale so good in the sale of horses and mules?
Well, several things. Number one, the town really supports it. Number two, it's a select sale. It's not just open to the general public to sell. So we do try to screen our consigners and limit the number of entries. And then we've added all these extra events so just different people can participate. I think we have another 50 or 60 vendors back this year. They'll be setting up Wednesday, and then they'll be selling Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So it's a big, it's the highlight of the year in Salmon, Idaho, of a community event, and we try to sponsor or help a lot of our organizations, charities, the High School Booster Club, the Hockey Association, the Little League. They're all out there with the food services, and so it's an event that economically really helps the salmon area.
Let me ask you this.
We have a good product to sell. We have it's Idaho's premier horse sale, and obviously Idaho's premier mule sale.
Absolutely. Fred, a lot of people probably are wondering, and I've had questions already when we started running the ads this morning. They said, well, what about going up to Salmon? Are there ample rooms and hotel and motel rooms, or are there camper hookups at the fairgrounds? Tell us about that.
Okay. Well, on our website, it lists all the motels, and there's some Airbnbs. Frankly, most of them are sold out or soon will be. But the fairgrounds, we do have a big grass hayfield there, and we have free camping. It's dry camping, but if you bring your camper, you're welcome to just camp there at the fairgrounds.
Okay. And
And then there's camping spots in town as well, but there's still maybe a few rooms left in town. If you go to that salmonselectsale.com, it'll list all the motels and Airbnbs that are sponsors.
Okay. Now, what would you tell my friends that are listening as far as if they want more information and a book with all the horses and the mules listed, how did they go about getting that?
The best is to call this number, the office number, 208-756-2125.
Okay.
That's 208-756-2125.
And what about, is it too late to consign anything at the sale? I know I'm going to get a question on that.
Oh, yes. It's like I say, it's a select sale. Those entries, that deadline was back February 10th.
Okay. Now, the Lemhi County Fairgrounds, you've made a lot of changes at the fairgrounds itself. I understand you got a new sale barn up there.
Right. The old one collapsed in December of 16, and we had the 2 years of the tent sales. And now, we have a new, it's the same size as the old building, but a huge new metal building. So we can actually house and seat more people than in the old structure. So no, we have a great facility once you arrive here.
Absolutely. And a lot of fun to be had in the great town of Salmon, right?
For sure. So we sure invite everybody to come on up. Like I say, it all starts on Tuesday, but the main events start Wednesday night, and most of the mules and horses will be here on the grounds for sure by Thursday morning.
Okay. This man is devoted
on where you can really come and watch them perform before the sale to see what each one can do. And on that website, salmonselectsale.com, more and more of the consigners today have professionally done videos of their sale horse.
I see.
And they're really interesting and entertaining to watch and see what these horses can do.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, this man that I'm talking to has really devoted his life to this great Salmon Select horse sale and mule sale. Fred Snook, I wish you the very best. We're going to be talking to you again in a couple of days. God bless you, Fred, and for questions...
Thanks to all your listeners.
All right, sir. God bless you. We'll talk to you in a couple of days. Thank you so much. Fred Snook with the 48th Annual Salmon Select Horse and Mule Sale. It's good. The horse sale is going to be, I should start off with saying the mule sale is going to be on Friday, April 9th, and the horse sale on April 10th. But a lot of activity that full week up there in Salmon. A lot of fun. Right now, we're going to tell you about our major sponsor, and that's, of course, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations celebrating a great big spring tire sale. Oh, my goodness. You can save money and get brand new tires for your four-wheeled wonder. Absolutely. Your cars, pickups, SUVs, horse trailers, boat trailers, all the tires, all the tread designs, all the sizes for this great big spring tire sale at all 7 locations of your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. These people really care. They care on your safety. They care about the best in brake service, too. Front end alignment, shocks and struts and batteries. And the best in service to you. James and Buell, Dan on Pole Line in Twin Falls, Lane and Rupert, Mike and Jerome, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, the Twist family in Paul, and my buddy Trent on Overland in Burley. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, the best. Our Bible verse for today from James chapter 4 verse 17. Remember too that knowing what is right to do and then not doing it is sin. Amen. We'll see you tomorrow morning. We're going to wrap things up and say the way things were, the way things ought to be, and the 4 words that mean the most to me: in God we trust. Got a great program tomorrow. Let's take a quick look. We're going to have Dan Kish, Karen Cataline, Dr. History, and the Idaho Legislative Update. All of this on Zeb at the Ranch tomorrow. God bless. Have a wonderful day.